Earlier this week, me and you were talking about it, and you brought up the whole thing with falcons, and we were talking about like eagles and shit like
Falcons
that.
team?
No,
Eagles
like
team?
fucking like birds, like how we chose like the bald eagle as being like the national symbol.
Oh yeah, well, because it started because I was driving around, and as I was driving, I saw a falcon, and I was like, huh? Well, because I kind of thought of that fact that it's like,
You're a superhero.
no, shut up. I thought of that fact that you know the bald eagle, despite being America's national bird, is usually
the ugliest
portrayed.
and worst bird.
Well,
in
that
all
and
existence.
it's usually portrayed as it's like it's a falcon sound instead of an eagle because eagles have a pretty wimpy sounding fucking noise. And I got to thinking, I was kind of like, well, why choose the falcon then if we're just going to go all this, or choose the bald eagle if we're going to go roundabout and just make it this falcon noise anyway? Just make it a falcon in the first place. And then I was thinking, well,
Because they are intimidating. Like they're still just
it's still an
fucking
intimidating
monsters.
bird. And like we were also just thinking because like I said, I was telling Cody about this, and it's like, well, what makes it to like, was there like some kind of like political like or otherwise, just something along those lines? Not to mention, I was like, I don't know if the falcon or like the bald eagle is indigenous just to North America or something that it made it like a better pick. And then that plus it was like wasn't quite sure on
like why they chose it. Like,
yeah.
well, because one thing that's always interesting to me is they always say Ben Franklin wanted it to be the turkey, which is kind of a weird bird to choose anyways, but like it's just kind of weird the symbolism that we take with it, and just like how kind of fucking weird that we're just like, yeah, like I pick a bird. Like we have to pick a bird that's gonna.
What's
We
the
gotta pick
bird?
a bird for the national bird.
No national bird. Like what's important about it? And
I think
I guess
birds
like
symbolize like freedom.
I know,
because
but
they
like
can fly.
for us, the bird's a big thing. Like we don't know what our national fucking dog breed is. You know, like there's tons of shit. There's
Okay,
tons of shit.
Labrador.
Flower. I'm sure we have one, but nobody gives a shit. But you associate with like freedom, and it's a wisdom for it. But one thing, like me and Anthony were talking about this, and I was like, you know what I learned about the other day is that in Mongolia, they fucking hawks to hunt wolves, and I don't mean like they use the hawk to find the wolves. The fucking hawk comes down with its talon, like rips the shit out of these fucking wolves, like just like slaughters them. And there's like videos that you can watch. I haven't seen any of it, but like I heard it on a different podcast. And they were talking about it, and they watched the video of it, and from the description, it sounded like maybe it was like GoPro footage or something. It was just fucking like, I don't know, dude. Birds are fucking crazy. Like they're tiny, but like to think that a hawk or a falcon or whatever could just come out of the sky and just kill you. Like the fact that they're that deadly that if they really wanted to kill you, they probably would. Like little fucking Devin, they'd just pick him up.
The thing is, though, it's like people like to think they're like wolves are just like the same. That is not the case. Wolves are like
They're fucking monsters.
Well, first of all, they're fucking wild and they're fucking like ravenous, so they'll fuck you up. Second, they're like 2 to 3
Oh yeah,
in a
like
lab.
like people think that like a coyote,
huge fucking creatures.
Well, like people think that like a coyote and a wolf are like decently similar. They're both wild dogs, the size of a fucking coyote.
Exactly. I'm like wolves are
like
huge.
you've never seen like I've never seen a wolf. Like
I've never seen like a wild wolf.
Enormously scary to like run into.
It's like running into like a tiger or some shit like that. They're like a lioness.
I also read online, it was Reddit, that Shih Tzu is one of the oldest breeds that is still around today that is like close to a wolf as you can get. Like it's a very close wolf, and it's just the last breed you would like expect.
Yeah, that can't be right.
Yeah, I know it kind of sounds like bullshit, even like saying it, but I don't know. I didn't look into it enough.
You ever look at a Shih Tzu?
Yeah, I had one.
We
thought Chewy was one.
Speaking of dog breeds, like, isn't it just crazy how like humans have influenced how dogs have evolved?
Like think about how different they look too. Like your dog, she was like a wiener dog or like a dachshund.
She was a dachshund basset hound.
To think that came from a wolf.
Yeah.
Like to look at that and go, that used to be a wolf.
A long it's weird to think of it that it's like
Same
how
animal.
much like
You know?
humans just
How bad did we fuck this creature up that
Well, the thing is, it
to
was
be a
like
wolf?
back dogs were like mostly before the dogs were just like pets for like companions. They were used in like hunting and like activities. Like they would need to be like they would be selectively bred to have specific traits that would help them in their specific goal. Like,
well, and that's the thing. You know, the natural shift from like a normal just dog to like a hunting dog or like something that has, you know, practical utility. But
How the
like
fuck did a pug?
what because you know it's you would understand that like that would
Yeah.
come from people who live in the lap of luxury and it's like, you know, they can afford that kind of thing. But it's like,
let's just
how do you
breed dogs until they get scrunched up fucked faces that look cute.
Yeah, like
They
that's.
have,
Like if
and
we
they have
started
issues, and
bringing-
they've only lived to be 10 years old. Like,
I
we
mean,
started breeding people down. We
Jesus.
had little Downey here for 3 years, and then he got sick, so we had to put him down.
Jesus Christ.
It was
guess we'll get
tragic.
another one. Yeah, like it is kind of crazy, and like imagine that's a big like social ramification of like something that we could see in our lifetimes is to start breeding humans in ways that make them genetically like
Superior.
stronger. Yeah, I don't like
Having
using the word
downs
superior,
does not
but
make
like
you superior.
but no, I'm talking like, what if China's all of a sudden like they're like, yeah, like all of our people are now 7 feet tall and they're 10 times because they're just breeding people, and we're like,
Because
that's kinda
because
I
they're
don't know if
doing
it's happening.
only the new baby arena. Only the strongest babies get to breed.
I don't know if you
Why-
stuff that's like going on in
The
China.
baby gets to
last
grow.
I think to do is make their citizens like incredibly strong.
Exactly.
They just
Exactly.
overthrow them.
Have you seen like there was a video I saw a long time ago where it was like like an apartment in like one of the main cities in China is like so full of people that it's like people have one apartment and they've sectioned it off to like 4 or 5 families that live in that
I
apartment.
believe it. I mean, it's
Like
it's
a
the
one
size of
bedroom,
the.
one bath apartment with 4 families living in it. 4 like husband, wife, like 4 member families living in that
Yeah,
fucking
but I
tiny
mean, you
space.
gotta
Like,
think
that's
about-
fucking insane.
You've got to think about like people are in China, and China's like the same size as the United States, because I think there's a debate that like if you territories, the United States is bigger, but if you don't include mainland, China's bigger. So it's like they are like right about the same size, and they have what, like 4 or 5 times as many people? Is it
Yeah.
more than that even?
Something
Oh,
like
hey,
that.
really quick, I want to interject. Let's all take a shot.
Okay.
You act like we haven't been.
All right, let's all do it.
Alright.
I guess Anthony can't because he's got to drive, right?
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
know that this was the plan. I was just
Yeah, it's okay. The rest of us. All right, I'm going.
I've got mine.
All right, 3, 2, go. Ugh, yike. He's not bad though.
It's not.
I have some in there, but yeah, I did not. Oh, Jeremy,
Oh, you know,
I also-
mine's not American honey. It's Jack Daniel's honey. Go
What's
ahead.
up, twin?
So Jeremy, the other night when we were at your house, you told me to make a power move because I took a nap and you were giving me shit for it.
Yike.
So I did.
I don't remember this.
I do.
You do. I do because I woke up after laying on the
I don't
couch.
remember this. You do.
Yes. Well, I woke up and y'all were giving me shit that I took a nap. It's like, let me just sleep. I'm a little
Who's
drunk. I'm
memeing on
sleeping.
you?
So my power move, because you're like, you know, you take a power nap, you got a power move, and I was like, all right. So yeah, when I left, I took your Joy-Cons back.
Yeah, I realized that.
Yeah.
I told him because he told me this about halfway down your road, and I was like, you should just toss them out. I didn't feel like actually stealing them, so they're still near your house. They're just in the grass on the side of your road.
He didn't do that.
Yeah, I'm glad he didn't do that too. I was still a little intoxicated when that happened.
I didn't drink that. I had that when we just kind of got caught up. I didn't think much more about it.
I had a few drinks.
You and Devin fucking passed the fuck out.
So I guess we should problem. Now that I'm thinking about it, go into the explanation of kind of how we know each other.
Okay.
So we all went to high school with each other. That's
Mhm.
pretty easy. I met Anthony a little bit before high school, but became friends with him early high school, and we pretty much all met freshman year. Devin was relatively new to the district, and we all became friends because we're a bunch of dumbasses, and we all
Pretty
have that
much.
in common. Yeah, that's really the gist of it,
Pretty much. That's about it.
and a lot of stories in between.
Yeah.
And then,
8
and
years
then,
later.
and then we
Yeah.
a lot of stories where I did something stupid.
Yeah, I've got a few of them. We'll have to tell the vice chancellor story one of these days.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like you don't have that many stories, but your one story is pretty quality.
yeah, that one's pretty good. There was one time I was thinking about this earlier today. I remember Anthony. I got my license, and so I was like 16 or something. So this is probably what, like five years ago or so. And me and Anthony got in my truck. It was a Ford S10, like 20 years old. Or not Ford, fucking Chevy S10.
Do
People
they
are
make
gonna hate me
S10s
for that.
aren't 20
Ford
years
and
old?
Chevy, what's the
Uh,
difference?
Well,
the S10 did get discontinued though.
More.
Yeah, so me and him got in the truck, drove to the mall, which is like 45 minutes away from us, something like that, and we went to a place that sells used video games, and it's a pretty big segment of the mall. You guys know what I'm talking about, but I don't know if I want to say the name because I don't want to.
Yeah.
So we
Dox
go
yourself,
there.
faggot.
Yeah, I'm not doxing myself. We already gave enough. Pretty big
Ooh.
city. Can't really pinpoint, but if I give any more information, yikes. So
Louisville, Kentucky.
yeah, yep. I'm sure that
Louisville,
I'm
Kentucky.
sure that us at that bar right next to the
Mario.
arch really gave them the impression of Louisville.
It is.
But
they
yeah.
got an
Yeah,
arch
the
in
Louisville Arch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
National trademark.
we go to the mall, and we decided that 10 years after it stopped even being popular to buy every Guitar Hero and a couple
Well,
of
listen,
guitars for it.
there's
That
some
was a good.
Guitar
That's a good
Hero
story though. That was a
transcends
quality.
time.
Guitar Hero is a great party game, and I don't think it'll ever. The only reason it'll outdate itself, the only reason is because the hardware that it's on will outdate itself. Like nobody's gonna carry a PS2 around anymore. Like Anthony had one, but like
I don't know. You
it's
say
still-
that, but like even today, like you find a lot of people with just these retro consoles that they just, you know,
What'll happen is that
Yeah.
you can emulate stuff so easily now that people like. There's a modding scene for Guitar Hero. Like people are making like songs for it.
That'd be
making
something
tracks
fun
and
to fuck
stuff.
with. Like if one of us learned how to do it, so that the rest of us could play it and play like modded songs and shit. I know there's things
This
to where
great
like
game called Beat Saber.
yeah, it is, but it's different.
You play Beat Saber
I
with a
know-
Guitar Hero guitar.
I know there's like a
Probably
game
good.
that's I know there's a game that's like Guitar Hero that you can get modded songs for, but I don't know how you play it. I don't know if you use
Oh,
like
Rock
a
Band.
guitar.
no, are you talking about Rocksmith or?
No, I mean I know what Rocksmith is, but there's one that it's literally like its own game of just modded songs. It's similar to like Beat Saber, but you use a guitar kind of like you would use the Guitar Hero guitar, but you know I guess they made one that was USB. I don't know if it was on PC, but I know the Xbox one was USB. I don't know if that would work with it, but I don't know. I've seen it. It's pretty neat. It's kind of cool. But I remember me and you hauling that shit out there and putting it in my car, and I think we went back in to go look at other stuff, but we didn't want to carry it around. We were like worried it was going to get taken from my truck.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is I think the funny thing about going to that store was it's one of those. It's not necessarily like really, you know, hole in the wall kind of like old, you know, mom and pop game shop, but it's
Pretty
very-
nice.
It's pretty nice, but it's like it's got some old gems in there. And one of the things that I think is hilarious because you know we've gone there often.
I know what
is-
you're going to say.
Exactly. Well, there's just like mounds of copies of DJ Hero.
Yep.
just everywhere in the store. Like even in places where it doesn't make sense. Like you go over to the the film section, you'll find it behind an Adam Sandler movie. Like you'll find Heroes of
Like it's literally just on the end caps because they've run out of spaces in like the normal spots. Like the Xbox area where they've got all the shit is like 90% DJ Hero.
Well, that's the thing is thinking about that store. I don't know if like most of their product comes from like
Most of their product is DJ Hero.
okay, but like you know what I mean. Like is most of their product like shipped from a warehouse that they supplement, or is it kind of like
people trading it in?
And like you have to think at a certain point where they just be like, listen, we know we're not getting anything out of DJ Hero. We don't want your copy. And
what if somebody came in with a copy of DJ Hero? Like, how much?
We should do it. We should do it. Off of like eBay for I can't imagine it goes for more than about $1.50.
I can't imagine the shipping would be more than the actual fucking game itself.
So we should just get a copy and then see if we can trade it in.
Well,
they'd look at us and then they'd sigh, and literally give you a crisp high five for that. That's about it.
Just leave it in the dumpster outside and we'll give you a buck.
It's the kind of high five that hits different. It's like a McDonald's fight. Just hits different.
It's like the blue the blue Scooby-Doo snack. It hits different.
Oh fuck! I took another shot.
You know what I hate? That about so there's one night Jeremy and I were just on Discord. We were just talking, and I don't know how it came to this point, but fully available online is the chronological history of Scooby-Doo, including like all of his ancestors. Like one of his ancestors that helped sign the Declaration of Independence, Yankee Dandledoo, or
is Yankee? I think it was Yankee Danky Doo or something like that.
That's what it was. Yeah, Yankee Danky
Danky.
Yeah,
I believe so. And then
is this canon?
Yeah, like this is.
Hold on, I'm pulling it up right now. I'm pulling this up and finding out.
Yikes!
Well, because there's like a wiki of like all these different characters, and it's like all these different cousins that all have like, and most of them are they're just one-off shoots in the old cartoons, but there's a couple of them everyone. But like, you hear about these cousins, and it's just like,
all right,
why?
So yeah, we got it's Yankee Doodle Doo.
Oh, Yankee
Doodle. And then after Yankee Doodle Doo is Great Grandpa Doo, and then Grandpa Doo. Grandpa Doo had 3 children. They got Uncle Horton Doo.
Uncle Horton, here's a dude.
Okay, really quick, I have to interject though.
Yeah.
What is Grandpa Doo and Great Grandpa Doo's real name? Or were they just born Great Grandpa Doo and Grandpa Doo?
I think
they were created for the sole purpose of being Scooby-Doo.
So what I'm hearing is there is a divine plan.
Listen,
yes.
the question that I think begs to be asked,
Scooby-Doo is the avatar.
Is how it goes from Yankee Doodle Doo to Scooby-Doo in 4 generations to at least a very conservative from like the independent, like the
Scooby-Doo.
Well, I guess we
has a
bred the
lifespan of
dog.
about 90 years.
We bred the dog to just live fucking forever. Like it goes back to our old fucking conversation. Pugs, they live like 10 years. Scooby-Doo lives like 80.
Listen, that's gotta be
not even 80. What the fuck is
Dude.
So it goes from Grandpa Doo, and before that, it's Yankee Doodle Doo.
Yes.
So it's like 4 generations and like 400
Scooby
years.
also doesn't
Those are
start
the dark
breeding
years
until
in the
he hits
Scooby-Doo
60.
timeline where no history was kept. The Great Fires of the Doo Hall fucking expunged that fucking part of history.
I don't know if you're pulling.
Now I'm pulling this out of my head.
Scooby-Doo
Great
had
Fires
some
of the
enriched-
Doo Historical Vault.
If it had such an enriched,
The
honestly,
Scooby-Doo
brutal
lore is
history
deep.
as the great Scooby-Doo expunging, like
So
that's which
They burned down the Library of Alexandria. History's lost.
So here,
that's
let me just read off some of these names of the Scooby-Doo. We've got Whoopsie Doo, which I think was a clown. We got Scooby-Dumb. He's just stupid. We is like a cool guy. We got Dixie Doo, and then Scooby-D, which those are just apparently just...
Is Scooby-Dee the porn star?
No. Oh God, she looks weird compared to all the different Scooby fucking cousins.
Just
We
as
got-
an aside, this is not a Scooby-Doo podcast. This is just
Yeah, this is not a Scooby-Doo podcast.
Hi, thanks and welcome to the Scooby Podcast.
Well, Mystery Cast.
All right, let's move on before it becomes that.
listen. Everyone wants a Scooby-Doo segment, but we're not there yet.
He also had
But-
he had a brother named Yabadoo.
On our 52nd episode, one year in, it'll be the Scooby-Doo special.
That's it. Yeah.
Only
Yikes.
true fans will understand the Scoobying.
But
The great
You-
Scoobying.
well, okay, and that's actually kind of brings me on to something else I wanted to talk about. You talking about, like, just imagining this enriched history behind the Scooby-Doo universe. It kind of made me think of like Dwarf Fortress, and I know it's going to be a weird connection, but like the way that game works is like I'm one that I enjoy strategy, like world building, story building games, Rim World, stuff like that, and like so does and like it's just
To an
it's something,
extent, Cody.
yeah. But,
I mean,
I think
I
it's,
like it. I like that kind of game style, but Dwarf Fortress means nothing to me. Like, I don't even know what that is.
well, Dwarf Fortress is it's a game that's been in development forever, and I think it's only like made by a handful, if even more than one person. But one of the main features of the game is like whenever you start a new game, which just as a heads up for anyone who graphically unintuitive and very like it's all
It's
ACS
actually going to
too.
get a re-release on Steam.
it is, and that's actually kind of what I was
When's it from?
like
It's gotta
when
be
it
from,
was
2000,
developed.
early 2000.
I feel like
In
it's
development since 2002.
Really, I thought it was earlier.
Its
than
first
that.
alpha version was released in 2006.
Well, I guess it's just the characters that they use for the sprites that it just kind of makes me think it's older. But I guess that does fit in well with an early 2000s PC game. But like,
Especially one made by 2 people.
okay, it is 2 people.
Yep.
But that is one of the things is like, I think it's interesting how the game, whenever you generates just hundreds of, years of like events that have no, practical bearing on your game, but it builds this huge backstory. And it's like,
One of my favorite things that I've never played Dwarf Fortress, but I've heard of Dwarf Fortress, where it was like bug apparently,
Where there was a fortress.
where cats would just straight up just die, and there'd be hundreds of dead cats. Like, why are all these cats dying? And they couldn't figure it out. Well, apparently what was happening was the cat, if it walks in like mud or something and gets dirty, it will like lick itself to clean it, and whatever is on it, it ingests. So like if somebody like put poison on the cat, or if there was poison on the ground and a cat walked through it, poisoned himself after he cleaned him. So what would happen was they would have a tavern and the floor would be covered in alcohol. Pretty much just spilled alcohol, and the cat would just run through the tavern, come outside, clean itself off, and get so drunk that it would die immediately and vomit all over itself.
I think, as annoying as that would be from a perspective of you just found it out, I think those kinds of, stories and stuff that it's not, the developer didn't say, oh, I want this cat.
No, it's hilarious.
to get
It's
drunk.
great.
I want this to happen. They just made, okay, here's alcohol, here's a system for if it spills, here's a system for cats, and here's how like
That it worked in
I-
kind of a realistic way.
it's just realistic as a cat getting drunk can be, but like I'm not gonna go dunk my cat in a tub of Everclear and see if she gets hammered off of it, but like
Yeah,
Devin
it's just
will.
so that's one thing that like it kind of makes me think of. Have you guys seen the fucking videos where like a squirrel will eat like a rotting pumpkin or something and get like super drunk off of it, and
'cause
they're
it's
like
fermented,
waddling around
yeah.
doing shit? Yeah,
that's
that fucking yeah. I had something, but I lost my train of thought a couple of drinks in.
that actually does remind me of something though, the squirrel bit. I don't know if I told you guys this before, but like I remember when I was younger, we used to go to the lake every summer, and like it was just camping, or they had cabins there where we'd go and we'd go down and fish and just hang out. There was a pool and stuff there. It was it's not as hyped up and like big as I'm trying to make it sound. It's just kind of a couple cabins around the lake, but we would go, and the way it was is they had like these kind of like splits where they were just like on the side of a hill, and just walking from the top of the hill, you get to a place where you were on the upstairs. But if you walk down the hill a little bit, you were in the downstairs. So it's kind of, I don't know how to describe that.
Like
kind
a
of
ranch style like house to where it's like
Yeah.
it's built kind of into the hill.
Yeah.
Like to where that basement would be, or not the basement, but that bottom floor. It would be a bottom floor on one side, but it's under the ground on the other side.
Exactly. And one of the things about that was
Kind of like my house, actually.
Yeah, I guess it is. And one of the things is like facing out towards the lake, is because all these houses were facing out towards the lake just for the scenic view. But they had these the patios on all of them, and what we would always do is we always had fishing gear because we went down there just to fish and hang out and stuff. Well, what we do in the early morning, it's kind of just like a campground. Like there's a lot of wildlife around. And what we would do is we would untie get the fishing hooks off of our lines, and we would just very loosely tie, or not loosely, but we just tie peanuts to the end of these strings and just throw them off the back of the deck for like the squirrels to come up and just grab them and start running off the deck. And I don't know if it's just the fact that I was a young child or the fact that, maybe just squirrels just have a fucking insane strength. But like these squirrels, there was it was almost no getting them back. And they were smart. They were crafty fucking dude. They'd run under the deck. And like you kind of have to almost let go of the fishing pole because you're like, I don't want this to snap. But that was a lot of fun. I also remember what we always used to do there is we'd on the way up there, we'd just go to the Walmart or whatever store was nearby, and we'd just grab a giant bag of 250 ping pong balls for $5 or $5-10 or whatever. And we just go there and we turn, it was it's like a standard ceiling fan. It wasn't fancy, it was just boards. There wasn't, it wasn't like some ceiling fans where they've got these sharper edges. But we turn it up at it and throw a ping pong ball at a fan, it just launches it across the room. And of course, it's it's a ping pong ball. It doesn't really hurt, but it's just
it's not going to do any damage to literally anything.
Well, yeah.
And it's also if it hits you, and what's the chance of it doing anything?
Oh yeah, and that's the thing is we'd all just sit around my family and my dad's sister's family, and we just hang out for hours just talking and throwing
Tossing ping pongs at each other.
Man.
And it would just...
That's totally something that, if that happened at Jeremy's house, his parents would be like, don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't try it.
I'm sure if I started tossing ping pong balls at the fan at my own house, my father would have a problem with it. But again, we were at a lake, so it's
we were at the lake. No rules at the lake.
I know. I remember.
There's one rule: no cheese. No cheese in the hot tub.
There was another rule, but...
So for reference, my family recently just was we have a family friend who's in the pool business, and we've been kind of looking at a hot tub, and especially with this pretty hot summer. I mean, even though it's a hot tub, it's still just a tub of water.
Super relaxing.
Yeah. Well, our friend in the pool, the pool business, he was like, this guy who lives in the kind of upper class neighborhood is like, yeah, I don't use this hot tub. We want to put something else in. We'll sell it to you. So they sold it to my family for, a pretty good deal. And when we up and hooking it all up, he's just he's talking, he's just like, oh, here are the rules. Just don't do this. Don't lean over here. Make sure, the top's closed whenever you leave. And it's all pretty standard stuff. It's nothing too difficult. But I told all the guys about it because I'm like, we can come over here. We can use it now and then. We can have a good time with it. And immediately they're like, okay, well, we're going to fill your hot tub with cheese. So,
well, kind of. We said that it wasn't specifically in the rules.
Well, I feel like it goes without saying cheese is not allowed in the hot tub. Now, you can argue whether or not that it can go with things.
Well, the idea was that if
American cheese wouldn't be allowed, but if you filled it up with enough cheese to make it work.
Yeah, it's like a big it's a big crock pot. Yeah, that's all it fucking is. You just put a bunch of cheese in it, and you got fucking nachos for, I was gonna say days, but yeah. He wasn't a fan.
Just even thinking about it, even if we did get to that point, cheese in the hot tub, I feel like it's harder to keep a tub of cheese at 104 degrees as it is to the comparable amount of water.
You know what? There's one way to find out.
Well,
the question isn't if it is possible. The question should be, should it be possible?
Has
Listen.
science gone too far?
We can raise enough money. We'll buy a hot tub. We'll fill it with cheese. We'll ruin it.
That's
I
going to
think
be a
it'd
goal on the
Can you
Patreon.
imagine, like,
Speaking of the
disgusting.
Patreon, we have a Patreon. Link is in the description. If you can support us, we really appreciate it. We'd like to keep this ad free. Don't know if that's possible, but yeah.
Also, tiers that you guys would want, some of the rewards that you guys would want. Because right now we just have one tier set up, but it's like,
We're open to suggestion.
and we don't know
Just
what.
a couple
what
of
people-
guys.
But we really enjoy doing this. We've wanted to do it for a long time. We're hoping to get better podcasting equipment and hopefully,
Well, just even better podcasting skills. I mean,
yeah. I mean, we can put more time, more effort into this with a little bit of support, just a little bit. If you can give $1, that's great. But I mean, I even want to get this to be a video podcast at some point.
That'd be incredible.
We're a long way from it.
me getting a new Minecraft account.
Yeah, that will be one of the tiers. We
you gotta
actually
tell that story.
we thought about it. So I'll put a goal up on the Patreon, but if we get enough people, there will be a goal to where if you are in that tier or higher, that money will go. A portion of it will buy a Minecraft account, and
I'll
we
use
will
it
buy
for
that. We will give it away to one of you in the description. We'll name it something that has to do with the podcast, but nice little memento. And if you don't have Minecraft,
Anthony will
you
just
can for
hop
some
on
reason
a server
afford.
one time and then jump into lava, and then you'll be like, okay, choice.
Well, listen, I'm
Go ahead.
the viewers have enough good mod packs, and not to mention Minecraft just has that potential to be entertaining.
Okay, but with what I was gonna say, because you're saying that if they can afford to give us money, I feel like they could probably afford Minecraft and have it. So they're really, I don't think we should be talking them into the good deal of potentially earning a Minecraft account.
Yeah, but can you get
Don't
a
worry, boys. We
Yeah,
got you
Minecraft
a sick Minecraft account.
Can you get
Enter
a
now for a
Minecraft-
chance to win.
Okay,
10
but
years
anyway,
after Minecraft came out.
The story behind this is forever ago. Probably I don't know how many years ago it was, but we were all playing Minecraft, and this is when MineZ kind of hit its popular, and all of us were broke and didn't have any good computers to get Daisy back on. When Arma 2 Daisy was a big thing, so we'd all just play MineZ. I mean, it's comparable enough. It's fun. We all have Minecraft. Play that. Well, we're all just playing, and it got to a point where it was just me and Cody on. We're just kind of roaming around doing our own thing, and we walk into a building and goes, is this you, Anthony? I was like, yeah. He's like, well, your skin is different. What happened? And I was like, I don't know. I looked around the exact same, like it wasn't any big deal, but apparently, I didn't think much of it. We played for a couple more hours. We got offline, logged back in the next day. Attempted to rather, and it was gone. I guess someone. I'm not gonna lie.
As Minecraft account got hacked.
As a younger man, I was not great with the passwords, especially for a Minecraft account. But yeah, I got hacked. And so one of the things at the time, Cody and Jeremy and Devin and they're
trying to learn how to fucking make YouTube videos, and we made a really shitty channel. I mean, I'll go ahead and tell you the name because I don't think
it still exists.
It was Slimeball Studios.
Oh, God.
All the videos are fucking unlisted, so you're not going to get anything except for our fucking logo and shit. And no, I'm not listing them again.
God, it was such cringe.
They were just really shitty fucking YouTube videos of us trying to do like shit like that because we wanted to be YouTubers when we were younger, like every kid our age did.
But
we had a fucking PayPal donation box on our website that was associated with that account because I also learned HTML that year and was fucking around with that. I was so proud, but looking back at it, that was the shittiest.
It was garbage.
Website. It was
so hardly.
But I knew how to embed a PayPal link, so we had a link on there to get our buddy Anthony over here a new fucking Minecraft account.
And you never got it.
Obviously, we got 0 donations on that. So
yeah, I had to work for my new Minecraft account.
Got himself a fucking big boy job.
But
he had that account before he fucking got a job.
I know. It's just memeing.
Got
himself some birthday money.
That's fair. That also leads me into to thinking of the time when Jeremy and I got our first jobs.
Oh my fucking God.
So
after I bullied you guys enough.
Well, the thing is, I look back at that and I'm really glad that you did, like
Well, because I was honestly
us
just sick of
around?
wanting to. I was sick of wanting to go do shit, and neither of you guys having any. Because
Any
I'm like,
money,
I have a
yeah.
not full time, but like I was working probably like over the summer at least, probably 30 to 35 hours a week as a busser and starting as a host at a popular Italian style restaurant.
A popular olive restaurant.
Yeah, yeah. So I did that and I liked my job, but like, you know, I had money and I wanted to go do shit, and they didn't have money, and
They didn't want to do shit.
I don't even know if you guys could. I think Anthony could drive, but you didn't get your vehicle yet, Jeremy.
You could drive, you just didn't have a car.
Yeah,
You pretty
and
much.
I drove you guys. I was like, all right, we're just gonna go around and pick up fucking applications. First place we went, hired you guys.
Oh,
You
no,
can go
okay.
ahead and tell
No,
that
no,
point
no.
of
So-
view.
So like what happened is actually because like yeah, we went out and we went to a Wendy's. Thought, oh, let's get an application here. So we walk in, and of course, the only thing they can tell us, oh, it's online. You got to do it online now. Which in hindsight, it's like yeah, that makes sense. But at the same time, it's like
Trying to
whatever.
show.
'Cause you did
We're trying
apply
to
at a
show
couple
initiative here, coming into
You
the store
applied-
and asking for an
you had a-
application.
You had applied, Anthony, at a grocery store of
I
some
did.
sort.
They didn't.
I don't remember which one it was, but I've got a couple of ideas that I'm
But
not.
they
gonna
weren't
say.
interested in.
But
anybody-
regardless, so like we just grabbed the little pamphlets that have the website or whatever, and we're like, well, we'll go to a couple places, and then when we go home, or like we're all gonna hang out, we're just gonna fill them out or whatever. Well, at this point, we drive to our local Dairy Queen, and we walk in, and there's the manager there, and we walk up and we're like, hey, we're both looking to get a couple applications for
And maybe a couple of blizzards,
Ugh.
depending on how this goes.
You yourself, you sir, made yourself a sale. And some fucking workers.
And some fucking workers. You just made them. Came right out of your pussy.
Came
Well,
right out
my-
of your fucking bum.
So my Google just heard me say okay, and then I don't know what it thought it heard, but it went on a rant telling me about all the different hardware stores around. But
I wish we
Whatever.
would have gotten it, honestly. I'm kind of
I-
upset that you muted yourself.
I heard
Yeah.
the blip in the background of it starting, and I was like, oh, who's using voice to talk? I'm like, what the heck? Voice to text?
okay, it heard me say okay, and it went off. But so we go inside, see the manager. We asked for a couple of applications, and I guess they were just particularly short-staffed at the moment because he's looking at us and he goes, "How about this? I'll give you guys both applications. You guys come in here tomorrow at the same time, fill them out. I'll interview you guys right here." So we're like, "All right, okay, shit, we can do that." And I guess another caveat is one of our high school friends that we knew, he was working there. So we
Which
decided,
I actually got him the job there too.
yeah, like we.
Or no, I didn't get him the job. I think I don't know. I had something
me
to do
the
with it.
job.
Helped him fill out the application or something. I don't know. He was in a class with me in high school, and me and him were talking about it, and I helped him out with it. But continue.
Yeah. So we I think I don't know if we continued to go anywhere else. I think we went and got food, and then after that we just kind of were like, well, let's go home. But we went home, we filled them out, and Jeremy and I both just came up separately the next day. Of course, he hands us, we hand him that, and he's like, all right, well, guys, come back this Saturday or whatever, do interviews with the owner who likes to do interviews there.
Y'all come back now, you hear?
So yeah, we both come in Saturday, and I think this is going to be the funny part. When we come back in Saturday, we go through the interview. I go through mine, he goes through his, and we both leave. Well, a couple days later, the manager, not the owner, he calls me and he goes, "Hey, Anthony, I just want to let you know, we're interested in you. We want to get you started. So come in on this day for your orientation. We'll get you started or whatever. Also, we can't get a hold of Jeremy because we can't read his handwriting to figure out what his phone number is. Can you tell him he has the job also?"
I was like,
I'm glad it's just not that he was.
I
just
didn't know about
asleep.
this. This is the first time I'm hearing about this.
Why do you think I called you to tell you got the job instead of the guy who offered you the job?
I
Yeah,
don't know,
you've definitely
still-
heard this. You just forgot.
Probably.
And also, this is the first time I'm hearing it, but it does not surprise me even the slightest.
And I feel like my penmanship's gotten a little bit better.
Yeah, but like,
Wrong.
Yeah, because you type now.
It's gotten leagues better. He's like,
Your
type
penmanship-
everything now.
Yeah, now you just got to spell right.
Oh,
Listen, autocorrect can usually help him out.
Everything about
live
computers has benefited Jeremy.
We live in the age of the computer. We can fucking.
That's fair.
Oh, by the way, if you guys hear a lot of wind for a second, every once in a while, it's because I'm drinking and I vape, so I'm just dumb. Yeah.
Cody has to take fucking hits of his
Big rips in my vape. Yeah. I don't need to, it's just I'm drinking and I just realized I was doing it the whole time. So yeah. Hey, I thought about this earlier, but we had already gotten off the topic, and I figured I'll go back to it really quick. But when you were talking about Dwarf Fortress, you made me think about it. Do you guys remember when you could buy Walmart and like it was in the fucking big box with the disc in it, just like you buy like any other game, you know, fucking PlayStation 2, all of that shit. But I remember we used to have a Walmart that wasn't a Walmart Supercenter by us when I was really young. They would sell them, and I'd walk through, and you'd see like Diablo and stuff like that. And it's just so weird how like I can't even imagine doing that. I don't even have an optical drive in my computer, and I only play PC anymore. I buy all my games off of Steam. It's hard for me to even think.
Well, they still sell those things. They just
they
give
still
you
sell
Steam
them. They're
code.
just not very like optical, like physical media in and of
Well,
itself.
no, I
is
think
kinda
Devin's right.
going-
It's just a Steam code. Like they don't even make the ones with the discs
Like
anymore.
it's got the
Oh,
box.
shit,
It's
really?
just the Steam code inside or an origin
Really?
code.
I had not
Why do
known
they
that.
even waste the time with the box? Why don't they only do like a card, like a Steam card?
Because some
Yeah.
people like having the box. You have the box up on your shelf. People are like, "Hey, what games do you have?" Well, I've got boxes.
Well, the
Dude,
thing is,
I have, like,
I've
400
seen some
games
for the
on
Switch.
boxes.
I've seen they'll have like a card with the digital download code on a shelf right next to the boxed like physical copy of the game, and the physical copy of the game will be like $10 to $15 cheaper than that code.
Yeah,
Well,
because
at what point do you decide it's like it's more worth it just to get the, you know, is it just too much of a pain to even get it at that point, like on, you know, a physical disc, or is it just worth getting the digital download? And I think anymore, I mean, for a long, I wasn't against it, but I always felt like I was like, I'll just get my games physically. I mean, I was
Well-
not, you know, too much into Xbox Live and games like that at the time, but it's just like now anymore, if I, you know, I feel like with a pretty reasonable degree of accuracy, like if someone told me like the only way that you can get this game is via, you know, a physical release, I'd be like, I don't know. I feel like that would be a legitimate concern of mine on like whether or not I'd get it.
I already know me and Devin agree in the fact that we would just do without. Like Devin just won't even use certain. I'm not using Epic Games. Devin's. I'll use like Microsoft a little bit, but not even really that. But I mean, we have gotten to a point to where it's like next gen consoles. What's the point of them even having like a optical drive? Like we're already at the point now to where if you have it, you still have to download all of that from the disc onto your thing, but then you have to put the disc in to play it, which is really a broken system in my opinion. I think that
It's
we're
just
like
shitty DRM.
maybe a year or two away from no more physical games other than Nintendo. I think
Well,
Nintendo.
Xbox just
the
recently
X5.
released their fucking all digital console again.
Is it all digital? I didn't.
They've just released one, yeah.
Is it like the Xbox One, or are you talking about like
Yeah,
the
there's
next
an Xbox
console?
One all digital. It
See, I
costs
mean,
like
that's the way it should be.
$250 or something, so a little bit cheaper than the disc version.
The thing is, I feel like anymore that's not even getting to a point to where it's a gimmick. Like I feel like most people's collections anymore are 99% digital media, whether it's, you know, music or games or movies or anything. I feel like most of the time it's just digital.
I don't see what the point in holding on to any of the physical media is. There's no benefit to it.
I mean, I would disagree with that because at
Maybe a
certain point-
sentimental benefit, but like
well, that and like just even considering the fact that like because of the way digital media is typically regulated by the companies that use it, it's like
DRM.
well that and it's like just as far as games go, like even though we use it on Steam, we don't really own any of our games. Like
You don't own your games with
Yeah.
the physical copy either, though.
But Yeah,
It's just a
so
license, and they give you a physical copy.
there's that, but there's also platforms like GOG. If you buy a game through GOG, it's yours. Like if you move it to a different computer, it's still yours. Like you own it in every sense, just as much as physical media. Maybe with something like Steam, like I guess if Steam servers shut down, if you didn't have them downloaded, and that's assuming that you can still play them even with them downloaded after it shuts down, you're just shit out of luck.
I mean, even with GOG though, you don't own it. With GOG, it's a hey, you own this license to the game. You don't actually own it.
I guess, but
Because it's not
to
like
the same
you
extent,
sell it
if you
to
just
someone else.
that's true. But if you unplug your computer from the thing, like if you just never plug it back in, and GOG goes out of business, or they release an update that's just like fuck this game, you'll never be able to play it again, which I don't know why they would ever do that. You still have the game, like it's yours. But yeah, I guess you are just licensed to be able to use it.
Really, I thought GOG just kind of
Definitely.
It just gives you the download for the game.
I didn't think that there
Yeah.
was any DR. Like I didn't think there was any DRM behind GOG. They just give
There's
you
not. It's just a store, and you just buy literally
like
it's like
executable.
it's an exe.
The only problem is, if a game updates,
Yeah, you have to manually update it.
yeah.
I guess you do, but I don't know. I don't use GOG enough to know, but like if it knows where you to, like even if it doesn't work as a launcher, it should be able to like update the game for you. Like
But it doesn't.
just not like manually necessarily, like just as manual as Steam.
But that's the thing, is it doesn't use like a launcher. It's just you download
So you just have to
executables.
go download the new version of the game.
Yeah, like I think as far as GOG goes, I'm not entirely sure. I haven't played a GOG game in forever, but like I'm pretty sure all that there is like maybe a splash screen when you start it. But there's nothing that would lead me to believe there's any network connectivity or DRM. I thought that was a pretty big thing about GOG, is that their store is almost exclusively DRM.
Well, that is what it is that there's no. That's what I meant, is if you use something like GOG, like I was kind of agreeing with Devin in the fact that like if you use GOG, you're closer to owning it than you are through Steam. Is they don't have a DRM.
Yeah. Which it kind of makes me worried, because like you never know, like I guess this is something like I used to before I had a computer, but when I started to get into like games on the computer, I used a service that has been long dead, but it was called Online, which is pretty similar to some of the stuff that you see nowadays, where it's just games that are relying more on people typically having pretty good internet. Like it'll run the game locally and then stream it to your system for you to play it.
Oh, you had a service like that?
Yeah, I used
It was just the Google, what was it called? Google Stadia or something like that?
I want to say it's Stadia.
Stadia.
Google Stadia, like precursor.
And
I don't
that-
even know what Google Stadia is.
It's
It
literally
just
that.
like it runs it like and it streams it to your device to where like
Yeah.
you're not like running it locally.
Yeah, it's kind of like a very it's a longer
Yeah,
distance.
Nvidia's got one.
I knew Nvidia had. I knew they had it. Like PlayStation has like their platform that you can use on like even like a Fire Stick.
Yeah, well, then, and that's the thing that I got worried about, is because for a while when I was using that, I would I bought a couple games that I was like, I want to play these. Like I played like Civilization 5 because I couldn't play it on my normal computer. I bought stuff like, I think I bought Max Payne, like whichever Max Payne was out at the time. I can't remember even all the games that were on there, but like after hearing it closed down and it was shut down by, I can't remember who absorbed it. I want to say it was Sony. But once it closed down, obviously, I hadn't used it in some time, but I kind of thought about it. I was like, I own, I spent, physical, legitimate money on a game that like I can no longer play. And it's not like something that it's not something that I could have controlled. It's not like if I break my Xbox, I can't play an Xbox game. It's
Like that company could just go over, like under, and you've bought thousands of dollars worth of games.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is like I said, my investment on it was very low. Yeah, it was Sony. Sony bought the Online. That's what it was. But
like, what if that happened to Steam?
And that's the thing is I feel like, well, again, on live, I feel like even just you not knowing about it. I mean, I'm not saying that everyone knows about Steam, but Steam is a household enough name that like
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah,
like I
but
could
they could
with
go under. I mean, big companies go under. Look at like Toys R Us. Toys R Us was a household. They're gone.
Yeah, Toys R
yeah.
Us was fucked up by those assholes.
I heard the giraffe got me too.
Stop. But also, well, you got to think. I feel like
You like that?
one of the big things that like kind of shut Toys R Us down, that like kind of drove it out, is like the fact of just how predominant and like accessible and easy shipping became, and how like
Yeah, so
online.
it got replaced
Like
by
I feel like,
better things.
I mean, I'm who's to say that something will come out and like completely overpass. I absolutely agree that Steam needs a competitor. I mean, do I think we've really found a competitor in terms of like a digital games marketplace that's like actually like competing with it? No, but that's
I
the
don't know
thing.
if I think Steam needs a competitor though.
I don't
I
think having a monopoly is a good idea.
I mean, they sell the games at the same price though.
Yes, but the thing is, Steam, even though it's not necessarily very intrusive, form of DRM to keep you from, having, people that don't own the license to the game playing it, but it's like you guys said, Steam isn't doing anything wrong now, but if they did, they have an incredibly tight grasp on the online digital,
Yeah, they
like the
have a
digital games
lot of
marketplace.
leverage.
That like, if there's competitors, I mean, I know that you can get into the whole, argument of everything, but I honestly believe that the competitors will definitely
Also,
make it a better market. They
think
will
about
have to
how
keep that market share.
think
Yeah,
about how
definitely.
good fucking Summer Sale would get again if they had a fucking good competitor.
Yeah.
Oh, that also reminded me really quick. I've been watching these videos. Can't remember what the channel is called. I'll find out and I'll bring it up on the next podcast, hopefully. But the simulations in Blender, and he did one for supply and demand, and they're like these little like glob-looking people, and it's like how the price and like how it affects it, and how if there's more buyers, it's a seller's market, but if there's more sellers, it's a buyer's market, or yeah, that is exactly how it is. I was talking about that, and you're absolutely reminded me of the video, and the outcome of the video was that if people competing to sell, it's better for the buyer.
Yeah, because it gives incentives for these different companies to make their
Well,
services
it's the
better. Because,
competitive spirit of like something to make them worth going to.
yeah,
So if that's better sales, whatever. Now
Or we
Steam
could do
doesn't
it
really
like Epic, where we just
only
buy
release
the
games
game,
on there.
say, hey, you have to get them from us.
Yeah, but I mean,
but I think
that's a bad way of doing it. Like exclusives is a bad way of doing it. But if it turns into sales,
well, that's the thing is the
it'll be great.
exclusives. As much as I don't like it, and like I understand, like I'd rather have all my games on Steam. That is just a side effect of Steam almost having a monopoly on the digital games marketplace. Like Epic isn't necessarily trying to make an evil statement and say, oh, you have
They're just
to buy.
taking the
They're
shittiest
trying.
way of being
They're just
competitive.
trying to kind of get into the market and be like, because if they released a game, because and that's even some of like the way that like some Ubisoft games, like you buy them on Steam, it runs through you like a Uplay
Yeah.
launch. It's they still have it played, but at the end of the game, whenever I see an Assassin's Creed game in my library, I don't think of it as it's a Uplay game. I mean, it is, but it's like I think it's in my Steam library. I can.
Yeah.
See, I
Even
do
though you have
see
to
it
go
like
through
that
it.
though. Like For Honor, I don't play because it wants me to sign one. It wants me to sign into. I'm like, see, I'm signed into Steam.
My
If
big
I
problem.
press play on my Steam game, I want to just play.
I agree with that, and then also my big problem was like one time I couldn't remember my pad. Uplay works in like the way to where it makes you put in a password that's really fucking funky. Like you can't just do like my normal password that I use. I'll do variations of that, so I'll forget it sometimes. And so like with that one, I got locked out of my account, and I emailed or I. It's hard to everything just to find their support email, but before that, even just like trying to get a hold of them, putting in my password, having them email me, it took me like 2 months to be able to log into my Uplay account because I forgot my password one time and it wouldn't send me the email and just tons of bullshit. So no, I mean I just want to go through Steam. I don't want to use any DRM like that. It really gets on want to buy a game that's Uplay, like Devin was saying, to where like Anthony said, you do kind of get fooled with it. It's awful.
I
Like,
agree.
it's
It's
awful.
just I don't for now. I definitely think that's going to stay the biggest hitter in the digital games marketplace. But like moving forward, there's really I feel like it's inevitable that we will see some kind of competitor because I mean the cost of entry. I mean, like I guess I'm thinking and like you hear people say that there needs to be a YouTube competitor, that YouTube is starting to get there,
Which is definitely true.
is definitely true. But the thing is, the cost of getting into hosting is definitely a lot more expensive, and there's not near as much return on investment as something as like a games marketplace. Whereas like a games marketplace, you don't have to have these massive servers to store like thousands of gigabytes of files per minute or whatever that YouTube has to deal with. Like
Yeah, you do have to be able to support a lot of bandwidth, though.
you do, but like the thing is with that, it's like it can be sustainable at a small level and grow with it. Like where a hosting service, it's going to be an extremely expensive and like it's not going to make you any
And
money.
you're not, at least with the marketplace, you get that profit just right off the bat. But with a video, like with a video service, you have to be able to attract a way to make it monetary, whether you're going off the YouTube style of like advertising. You have to get advertisers to monetize these videos for people. But
Well,
if
that's
you're
the thing is because like
with different ways of doing it, some of those ways just aren't preferable, and you're not going to pull people from YouTube, so it's just hard to start in general.
well, yeah, because like, and that's the thing is like, as much as everyone kind of shits on YouTube for some of the practices they have, it's like, at the end of the day, it's still the number one video on the internet. Like, they didn't get that far because they just got lucky. It's like, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some luck attributed to it, but like,
They do it well.
I don't know much of the story. If I'm going to be honest, of YouTube before it was bought by Google, but like. They had, I'm sure that they were running a deficit for quite a while until they were able to get, a lot of advertisers,
Mm-hmm.
and even once then, like, how marginalized is the income? And then, I'm sure once they sold to Google, it's just like Google sunk its claws into it and made it what it is today, which, for better or for worse, I mean, the amount of content that you can
I love YouTube. I just think that things, especially creators, that is really fucked up and unfair, and they use that kind of thing to where it's like, where else are you gonna go?
Well, exactly. Well, and that's the thing is, I feel like we can obviously hold this opinion on YouTube, being, we don't really content create for YouTube. We're more consumers for it. So like the kind of content creator practices that they have, I mean, it'll affect us in the sense that some of our content creators might move to other platforms or might, reduce,
or that they can't make content that we would enjoy because it can't get monetized. There's a lot of YouTube that they do some offensive shit and they can't get monetized anymore because, just the way that ads are kind of strict. And it all happened because Adpocalypse was kind of like a farce. Like it was just dumb shit that they went way overboard with. And it was the advertisers, not YouTube. It was YouTube to the advertisers, but
the biggest problem, it really affects like content creators that make like
good content that's not necessarily family.
Yeah, but that's not like bad content, Like if you make something that's like horror related content, like something that's like got like horror undertones, but it's not necessarily a family, not like.
But it's still artistic and very valuable to a lot of people, but it can't be made because they can't make money off of it to support what they're trying to do. It's
because like
it's upsetting.
You can say the social aspect as well, but it's definitely like the aspect of like what YouTube is willing to say. Like you look at some of the older stuff on YouTube, like you go back to YouTube in like the mid 2000s, you'll find shit that it's like if someone uploaded that today, it would not fly like at all.
Mm-hmm. And it's really just, it all has to do with now Coca-Cola doesn't things, and
which
YouTube
all the power
to
to
Coca-Cola,
exactly.
Yeah, and I get that. It's just it's really sad that YouTube is getting that monetary compensation for it. You can't put that much effort into it, and there's zero other way of getting the monetary compensation other than advertising through YouTube, except for now there is YouTube Red, and things like Patreon exist. I'm sure there's a lot of people that they don't have content that can get monetized, so they're like, hey, I'm going to go completely off of the Patreon model, like the Sam Harris model of I'm not going to advertise, I'm not going to do any of this stuff, whether it's because you can't or you decide not to, and then they go, hey, can you contribute as much as you can for this information? I put a lot of work into it. I value what I do, and hopefully you guys find some value in it. And if you do, please, support me directly. You have a better connection with your fans, and luckily that's a thing that's happening. But it would be nice to see a platform that focused pretty much on that rise to the
biggest
top.
problem with that is the fact that
Most people won't give.
Well, the thing is that the problem was there was I think it was like Vimeo or something like that, or
yeah, because Anthony was explaining this to me a little while.
But they literally got bought out by YouTube. YouTube just absorbed their competitor, and that's a big problem.
Yeah, that's like Standard Oil shit.
Yeah.
Reason Rockefeller exists.
Well, and then going back to what you were saying about like Patreon model, it's like, well, yes, it still does provide that kind of stuff. I think a big thing with a lot of content creators and whether or not they're going to say, a lot of them, they hope for growth. And the thing is, even if you have a Patreon where you're still making money off of it, even if it's not from ad revenue, you're still via the YouTube algorithm, you're not being shown to as many new people. Like the amount of new people that I find just, going down the YouTube rabbit hole, it's like, who's to know how many people that I haven't found that, yeah, they have it, but like the YouTube algorithm's not recommending them because they're not family friendly. Like there's no point in recommending them because they're not
only the family friendly, but if they're not monetized, then YouTube's not making money off of them either. Right? Is that right?
Yeah.
They wouldn't have ads on those things. So why would the YouTube have any preference for videos that are
and like
monetized?
even if it doesn't even if like I was saying, if they have Patreon, sure, it may not be hurting them directly in terms of the income that they bring in, but it'll definitely affect them in terms of like their ability to grow. I mean, like there's
for sure. I mean, and that's really sad
because you got to think of how many channels there are out there that like put out some really excellent content, but just like they just aren't what YouTube's looking for, and so that their growth is severely stunted. I mean,
like it's really sad that somebody can't be successful, but you lose a lot of potential with that, because that's a better model is like the community model where it's like you're being supported by the people that really enjoy you. And I think that like an algorithm that worked in the favor of it's like, this is similar to items that you like, so it shows you that would be the best way to do it, whether it's family friendly or not. It should be, I think that there should be a lack of regulation to the internet when it comes to content like that. I think that the only reason that content that's offensive should be shot down is because it's offensive enough that people don't enjoy it.
I feel like it's getting to the point where like YouTube is just blatantly censoring people, and there's an argument to be made that it's like, oh, well, where does censorship not okay? And
yeah, because it is a private institution.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's a private website.
Speech, but like they talk about it a lot on like the Rogan podcast, that it should be something to where like maybe those are like public, like they're almost like town halls, like town squares, and maybe they should be regulated in a way to where they don't really have the ability to take away people's freedoms like that, and it should be treated more as a public service. Even though YouTube's a private company, they are saying that YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, things like that should be held kind of in the public domain, and freedom of speech should apply to it. I don't know whether I agree with that or not. It's kind of a funky argument.
That's kind of where I stand on it. Is
it
like
just,
I do.
Like, how can you take a company and say they don't have any right to it?
There needs to be more talk with like younger people about how the internet should be worked, because right now it's just a bunch of fucking old ass people making laws about the internet, and
they don't understand.
Yeah, they barely know how to fucking change the fucking brightness on their fucking phone.
Like
they're fucking making the fucking internet more fucking censored.
Jack from Twitter was talking about maybe making that work like the Wild West, because there's all this talk about like Alex Jones got deplatformed, people like that, people getting deplatformed, removed from Twitter for reasons that don't necessarily make a lot of sense. Well, they could have one that's regulated like Twitter is now, and one that's literally the Wild West. You can do whatever as long as it's not blatantly illegal, like threatening somebody, doxing them, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing, is I can completely agree with that. It's just I don't. And you're saying that like because you said exactly.
Jack, he's the guy that created it. I think he's the CEO of Twitter. Yeah.
But you got to think, like, he can say that, but like, I as much as the people and say that like most people would appreciate that kind of unbiased platform.
Well, then you get
Like-
something like 4chan.
Well, there's a lot of
Yeah.
people that might just say that the idea of having an unbiased platform is biased in one direction or another. I mean, it's
Yeah.
weird to say, but that people think that unbiased things aren't, just because they're unbiased and just because they're not on your side, that it automatically makes it about their side.
Yeah.
And
Exactly. Yeah.
I understand that, but like you do look at something like 4chan. Like 4chan can be very aggressive, and also 4chan can be a great thing. But it really is. It's like it's probably the closest to a free. Bad things have come out of 4chan. A lot of good things have come out of 4chan, but
I also feel like
it's
that
a
might
dangerous
be
area.
Wild Wild West.
But like I said, that might be
the surface internet.
the cause of just the fact that that is the only free place. Like, if that's the only free place, they're the only people that are going to be going are people that do desire that truly free, political and ideological like place.
The problem is that when you get a place like that, to where there are places that have no regulation, you get a lot of people that they're like, they don't do anything wrong to get kicked out of the places with the regulation. So the majority of people in a place that it's completely free, no regulation, are people that have been banned from the other places. People that can't get on Twitter anymore, people that can't get on Reddit because they frequently get banned or have been permanently banned. Now they go there, and that the very nature of a chat like that attracts who
feedback
shouldn't
loop.
be
And
there.
then you start getting those kind of things where it's just that cesspool of people who are, basically outcast from most of social media. Then you end up with this feedback loop of people saying, well, that's what happens when you have a free network. It's
Yeah,
like,
so now you've built this bias of people that really shouldn't be interacting with people because they've been removed from so many things. They are the extreme example of that group. And then now you look at it and you go, oh, if we let people be free, they're just going to act like this. Well, not necessarily, because you're letting people be free, but some people now you're only looking at those extreme examples. And
well, and that's the thing, is it's
giving that
like
the entire population.
these people, they see these extreme examples and just assume everyone on that side is like that. I mean, I'm sure that they're, I don't personally browse 4chan, but I have, no doubt that I'm sure that there's at least just genuine people just that prefer 4chan.
I definitely agree. They like their freedom. They like knowing that there's nobody regulating it, advertising and stuff like that. But you also do get some people that it's like crazy stuff. I mean, you get like school shooters that are like, hey, I'm going to do this tomorrow. And it's honestly.
And that goes
crazy.
back to like just how it is its own segmented like area where it's like, if a wider portion of the internet was that kind of unbiased free zone, yeah, you would see pockets of it, but it wouldn't like if they had a free, if they did make that change to where like, even if it wasn't just a different Twitter, if they just made Twitter like that, like, yeah, there'd be some cesspools in it, but it wouldn't be
because it's an
established
an established group that started and let down on.
Exactly.
I see what you're saying. And no, I definitely agree. Maybe that would be in anybody's favor.
All right. I can see that.
It's just kind of crazy, this social that like something like any of this shit has on all of us is kind of just fucking crazy, because like 20 years ago we wouldn't have even thought a thing like this would exist. And as it was coming up, nobody thought anything of it until they became so fucking big that they're just unbelievable now. Like, we don't know what to do.
Oh yeah.
It's literally it's new territory. Like, there's never been anything like this.
Well, and that's the
So
thing, is
it's
just
all new territory.
people have just got to get used to like how things have changed and like what the kind of market that we live in is. It's like, in the same vein of like, the Second Amendment being made for muskets and cannons were a thing. It's like there's all these rules and regulations for media that it's like they had no idea that the internet was going to come out of left field like it was. Like, you hear a lot of people, you see old videos of, the news where they considered a fad. And it's like,
and now it's life changing. We couldn't function in the same
like
way without.
Hell, we've gotten to the point to where, the government of the United States has to determine on whether or not the internet is, a utility. Is it a right? Like, and when
I think it is.
Like, absolutely. I believe it's gotten to the point to where at least
it's a public utility.
Yeah.
My thing is that it's like, if you like, literally going back to what we were saying earlier about when we were looking for jobs. The
Exactly.
first couple of places we went to, they're like, hey, just go to our website. If you don't have internet access or a smartphone or a computer, the only other place you could go is maybe a library if you live in an area that has a library.
Well, that's a big thing is, like, you have to consider just the wealth of knowledge that it's brought to everybody. Like, I wouldn't know how to
absolutely.
do. Yeah, I can't even imagine, like, everything that I do, including where I work. I don't want to give too much information, but I work for an online store. Uh,
Not Amazon.
As like a
yeah, it's
distributor.
not Amazon. Yeah, and a distribution center. And so we do a lot of work that, like, one, it's an online store, but even before, warehouse situations existed, but the very job that I do would be very, very different with, like, it wouldn't exist. Basically, it would exist, but to a much lesser extent. But almost everything I do from a day-to-day basis has to do with the internet, and all of my free time does. I mean, like, look at what we do for fun. Like, I watch movies, I play video games, I talk to you guys. Almost none of that stuff would be even close to the same without the internet, because Netflix wouldn't exist, the online video game stores wouldn't exist. I wouldn't be playing the games that I play, which are mostly multiplayer. It's like CS:GO, GTA, stuff like that.
Well,
Those
just
games existed, but in a much different format that I don't know, as a 21-year-old, I would still be interacting with any of that stuff.
My thing is that I
Like,
feel like
not,
the internet has brought us closer together as friends.
It
And
has,
it's
but
like,
it's done damage too.
oh, absolutely.
Like, to people's psychology, like just the way that people interact with one another.
well, that's the thing is I feel like, at least personally, and like I feel like it applies to you too. We haven't, at least in terms of like social media, gotten caught up into that instant feedback loop of posting something, getting likes, doing so like
Yeah, I very
That's-
rarely post.
that's not something
anything.
that's
Yeah, I always just lurk around Facebook and stuff like that. I see what other people are up to, but I rarely ever post anything.
But
Yeah.
like, yeah, there's that, and like just going off of what you were saying on the internet, it's like the peripheral, the fucking, like, the accessibility of like knowledge, like before I started kind of learning more about computers, and like hell, even after I did learn about computers, like for example, probably a year or two ago, probably even longer than that, like my system didn't have enough power coming from the power supply to support it when I was doing stuff like, especially with VR that we have. It's like I had a good idea that it was the power supply, but like I still had my doubts. It's like 20 years ago it would have been like, well, I guess it's the power supply, I guess I'll replace it and see if it works. Whereas like,
Yeah, where are you gonna find that information? Maybe a library.
Now you can hop on the internet, you can do a couple like Google searches, figure it out. You can hop on a forum. You can ask people who have gone through the
I
exact
have a
same
Google Home. I
things.
could just ask my Google Home half that.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Maybe not
That's
that
the
we've
one
gotten to the point
specific.
where we don't even have to type it out. We can literally ask a machine.
Like, if I wanted to know how old Rob,
You're
I
cutting
could
out.
just. I know. If I wanted to ask how old Robert Downey Jr., it would only take me a second. Like, I'd just ask.
Exactly, and it's like, it's just weird to think about, like, well, because like there's a lot of stipulations about like people who don't know. I feel like knowledge of cars is getting a little bit more rare. Just one, because there's a lot of like there's a lot more markets, like the automobile industry is still like a huge market, but it's not necessarily on the huge come up that it was in the turn of the 20th century. So whereas, like, not to mention, automobiles are a hell of a lot more complex, and as as far as
They're
industry
literally
standard-
computers in and of themselves.
well, yeah, and as far as industry standards go, it's like they're, until we hopefully see the turn of the right to repair movement, they're just designed to be difficult to repair. Even if you go to like
A mechanic that's supposed to deal with them.
oh yeah, well, because like I don't know if you guys have heard, like a big contributor to the people who are supporting the the right to repair is farmers that have these like John Deere tractors that their livelihoods completely, like literally entirely depend on the
They don't want to
ability of
have
these
to
tractors.
take the time to have it repaired.
But John Deere has a lot of like these proprietary software. Like I remember reading this thing of this where like some of the software, if you install a third party part onto it, the software will detect it. It won't work. Even if the part itself would completely fit the task that like the part that you replace needs, it just doesn't work because it detects that it has an aftermarket part in there. And so people are like buying, these hacked versions of the software from European countries and, hiring people that it should honestly not be out of their league to fix their own vehicle. But
yeah, that's
in the same vein as that. Can we talk about planned obsolescence? Like,
exactly.
like the fact that like the best example of planned obsolescence is light bulbs, iPhones, and light bulbs. Light bulbs more because it was like the grandfather of it, because it was like,
like they're designed to burn out,
literally.
even though they could make them to where they don't.
They can
They want you to
literally
buy
make.
one.
I
Like,
have heard that argument,
back
but I have
before
heard...
like LED bulbs and like the weird spirally bulbs, like the old school like incandescent bulbs. Or no, wait, incandescent are the spiral ones, right?
I don't know what the difference is.
Either way, the old old style light bulbs. Apparently, like back when they were first invented, they made light bulbs that could last up to 40 years, that would not burn out. But
Well, that's the thing is, I have
there's
heard
no
that
market in making something that would last forever. There would be a big boom, and then nobody else would have to buy any because they would already have them.
Exactly. I mean, I in regards to that specific argument, I have heard, references of like efficiency to light produced, like where they have to find the middle ground. I definitely do think that there still is a planned obsolescence in it, but like at a certain point, you can have a light bulb that'll burn, that'll light forever, but no one wants to live in a room that's very dimly lit for their entire life.
Fair.
But like you said, that works, but also just phones. Like, I mean, I know iPhones especially are under heat just because
they literally like iPhones are coming out like super quick, and the problem is there's very each year there seems like there's fewer and fewer new things with the phone.
Yeah, but they not only that, but they purposely make it to where your phone just works slower with certain updates if you don't have the newest one. They've been known to do that. So like it'll update and it will purposely make that model of phone slower to force you to want to update.
Well, because I remember
it worked fine before. They could roll out an update that doesn't make it do that, and they claim that they're doing it because of the battery. But it's bullshit.
Because that reminds me of like the first phone you sold me, Cody. Like the first iPhone, you had Snapchat on it, and it worked fine. Like it did. But when you sold it to me, I was never one to have new phones. I was, that couldn't hardly run Snapchat, and it's like, in the grand scheme of things, oh, boo-hoo, I can't run Snapchat in my first world country in my classroom, with accessible drinking water. But, like it worked.
They had no reason to do that.
It works. Why make it not work? Like, I mean, I understand why, because the whole point of planned obsolescence, like you said, it's to make me want to be like, fuck fun, I'm going to go buy a new one.
But it should be illegal. Like, it should be regulated.
Yeah. Like, and I feel like that kind of goes into a dangerous situation of like, are you building products that are meant to die after a certain period of time to get people to build a shitty product? You just suck it. Like, where does that come in? And, where can people say you did a bad job or like you're trying to, screw people over?
I think that the biggest thing is if they can prove intent. Prove intent. With light bulbs, you couldn't prove intent unless somebody shared that information that it was talked about.
Yeah.
Unless you had emails or something like that in the current. I would imagine that light bulbs, that's either a myth or that somebody broke the news that like, yeah, we did this on purpose. It was a discussion that we were part of. Like they were somebody from it, like internally released that information out years later. That's the only way that you could prove that back then, at least.
Yeah. For sure, but
very, very weird thing to think about, though, is like just that like a company is that shitty to be like, yeah, we don't want you to have a phone that's 2 years old. We want you to buy the new one. Like, it's just not going to work anymore. Like Jeremy could pick up like a Game Boy now and still play it just fine because
Yeah.
they didn't send out updates to it to fucking work differently. Like it doesn't. They're not like, oh, like we want you to have the what is it, Switch Lite? You know, like they
Yeah.
want you that'll work forever as long as it's in working condition in terms of like just how long ago it was made. It'll work forever.
Oh yeah.
That's another thing I want to get into is
Well, we are coming up on about it. We should probably here soon.
all right, we can save it for the next one then.
Yeah, that sounds good. All right, well, guys, thanks for listening. Check out our Patreon if you're able to support us. Great. If not, we appreciate you guys listening just in the first place. This should be up on YouTube. If you're watching it on YouTube, awesome. If not, we just released it on audio platforms, and hopefully pretty soon we'll have the quota to get on Spotify.
All right.
So,
Thank you guys for listening. Bye.
Thanks so much, guys. Bye.
bye.